Hey everyone, Melanie Minshinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I am so excited to be sharing my first project with you from my newest stamp set from Gina K Designs, Farmyard Friends. And this comes out on November 8th, 7 p.m. Central Time. You can check us out on our Facebook group, Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. We'll be going live with Gina and sharing all kinds of fun projects with all of the illustrators' sets. This is the first one that I'm doing. This is the goat that she showed in the sneak peek last week. It's a super simple card to make. I'm also going to be using the coordinating die set and very minimal supplies for this particular card. So in addition to the stamps and dies, you're going to need some cardstock. I'm going to be using some of the Gina K Pure Luxury Powder Blue. This is 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches. I am scoring this at 5.5 inches with my Scor-buddy so that I can create a top fold A2 size card. You're also going to need some white and black onyx cardstock. So this is 3 7/8 by 5 and by, or wait, excuse me. This is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and this is 5 inches by 3 3/4. I will post these dimensions below, or you can use one of those master layout set to cut some perfect mats. You're also going to need just a scrap of white cardstock for die cutting that goat. I have already die cut that just for the sake of time, but I used my Cuttlebug and then my base plate and my B and C plates for cutting that out. I'm going to be using some blending brushes today. So I've got 2 blending brushes. We're going to use the powder blue to coordinate with that card base. I've got the Lucky Clover. This is going to be a nice bright green for that little pasture. And then I'm using some of the Gina K Designs amalgam ink in the jet black for stamping my goat and my greeting. Both of the stamps that we're using today will fit on a 3-inch acrylic block. I'm going to be using that fence and the goat and then the greeting. You could also use the MISTI for doing your stamping. I've got some connect glue here for adhering my mats. And then finally, just for doing the coloring, I've got a couple different greens here today. I'm using Copic markers. I've got the G14 and the YG67. Then we're going to be using a couple of different rusts. I've got kind of more of a peachy EO2 and then the E97. There are so many ways you can color goats though, so I'm just going to show you a very simple way to color it today. And then I'm using the YG91, just kind of a more neutral tone rather than a gray for doing my shadows on that goat. So let's begin by getting our little goat colored. So we're going to stamp him first. And I'm going to just put the piece that I cut this out with into the MISTI, and this is going to allow me to stamp it multiple times if I don't get all of the lines as solid and as black as I want the first time. So I'm going to first put in the stamp. And I hope that you were able to check out my little pre-recorded interview and the live that Gina will be sharing. Okay, so we're going to ink this up, jet black. And the amalgam inks are appropriate. Whoop, I'm going to put the goat in there. So the amalgam inks are appropriate for coloring with alcohol markers. Depending on how humid it is where you live, you might need to do some heat setting before you do your coloring. I'm going to grab the little stapler that I use that has the velvet on the bottom just to apply even pressure all over that. Okay, so I'm going to do it just one more time. It looks good as it is, but I just want it to be a little bit more solid, especially so that you can see it well. So press all over. There we go. Okay, so cute. And if you wanted to make a little white goat, I mean, you could just add some shadows and call it done. All right, so I'm going to put this back on the sheet. And I'm going to show you how to blend this scene first without doing the fence, just so you can compare the two cards. Okay, so let's color this little goat. So I kind of like making him patchy. You can color it all over, but I just think it looks a little bit more interesting. Ooh, and that is not the peach that I meant to grab. It's a little pink, so I'm going to do some tip-to-tip coloring here, where I am going to lift some of that orange brown off. Yeah, I grabbed the wrong marker. So I'm just gonna put this over here. That is just, yeah, that's good. That's a little more peach than I wanted. But you're just gonna select all the areas that you want to have the color, and whether you want him to be a solid goat or a spotted goat. They very often though have kind of those lighter colors at the end near their hooves. So that's kind of how I'm coloring it here. Okay, and you can just kind of, you know, if you want to pull just little flicking strokes with that brush or pointed tip, just so that it looks like it just kind of fades in, and you can just, all I'm doing here is really just tracing where my little hair strokes are in my illustration. And then alcohol markers, they do blend and get darker if you go over an area a second time. So I'm just putting a little bit more on the side, the underside that's facing down, as if the light is coming this way. Okay, and then their eyes are all different colors. They can be gray, they can be blue, they can be brown. So I'm just going to do, I'm going to put just a little bit under here and on the underside and in the ears and just on the kind of on the back, down in his little hooves with this kind of warmer gray. It's called putty. And I can also layer this, so this is what I'm going to use instead for my kind of darker color here. So you can, doesn't have to be, you know, a darker orange over an orange. You can use a neutral that you're using for your shadow or just to deepen the color. Okay, maybe I'll put just a little bit of that on his nose and then a little in his eye. Okay, all right, so that's all I'm going to do on the goat. Now let's make our little scene with the ink pads. Okay, so just very, very simple. I am going to do, I'm going to start with the grass. Okay, so we're going to have him about here, and you can put the greeting here, here, wherever you want. Put it up there, I think. I just like it in the sky because I think it's nice to have an open space kind of illuminating that greeting like a cloud. So I'm going to put this underneath my mat just so that I'm not transferring a lot of it onto my craft mat there. So I am just going to just gently blend some of this Lucky Clover on here. And if you want to mask off the back there, you certainly can, so that you have a horizon line. I kind of wanted mine to be, though, just like tall grass, and just like it's kind of fading out, though, into the background, that maybe there's some bushes or trees or other foliage. You don't have to just completely define the grass. We're going to define the grass by using that little stamp that I have and then those green markers that I've got. Okay, so that's all of the blending that I'm going to do for the grass. Now let's do just a little bit up here for the sky. And what I want to do is I just want to move this around. I'm going up and I'm going down. And you want to have some white areas for your clouds. So I'm going to just go here, go down here. And then as it fades out, you can just pull that, just go in bigger circles so that you can get some of just the last little bit of that blue ink onto the clouds, because clouds aren't completely white. They have those little shadows. Okay. All right, that's all I'm going to do for that. All right, so let's put our greeting on there. And I've got You're the Goat, but I could do, you know, one of the other ones, Enjoy the Simple Life. Maybe I'll do Enjoy the Simple Life, just for something different. Okay, so I'm going to place this right here. And I'm going to remove my goat before I do the stamping. I don't want to transfer any ink onto it, but just so that I know about where I want to have it. Okay, and put it right there. You could also put it down below if you wanted. Okay. All right, just going to ink this up with the black Onyx. And the reason I didn't do this earlier, I like to do my greetings after I do all of my blending, just so that I don't smear it. I want it to be nice and crisp. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside. All right, so now I'm going to show you how you can add just a little bit more life to this with the little grass that I've got. And I want to give him a little shadow underneath. So you're going to lay this about right where you want it to be. Okay, and it's going to go under here and under here and under here. Okay, so I'm going to move this away, and I'm just going to make a darker spot in the grass. So the grass and the shadow under him, if you go outside and look, green grass looks even darker green. It doesn't look gray, it looks darker green underneath something. And you can keep moving that back and forth. And then I'm also just going to go ahead and add just a few flicking strokes out here. So it's going to be darker up front, and then if you really start looking at landscapes, it gets lighter and lighter the farther back you look. And then obviously the little grass strokes are going to get smaller and smaller as you go back. Okay, now I'm going to use this along the fence line, but remember I told you I wanted to just show you how this is going to look without it, so that you can see how different this is going to look. So that is so cute already, but let's go ahead and add the fence. Okay, so I am going to put this on my block. And so again, if you want to stamp it going right to left or left to right, I just find it easier to have this open side on my left side and then stamp the closed side next to it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, so my goat is here, so I'm going to ink this up in the black, and it's going to go off of my mat. I don't want it to look like it's starting over here. Okay, a fence is going to go all the way across, so I am going to just put this right here. Okay, and then we're going to ink it up again. And pardon my head, I'm just peeking over, and I just want all of those lines to line up. And if you go off a little bit, you can connect them with a black pen. Okay, and then I want to put the grass in that Lucky Clover along the edge of that fence line, and then also in my shadow. Okay, all right, so along here. I just love the texture that this adds. And you can use this grass stamp with all of my different nature sets. So I'm going to put some in here. And you can start with this and then fill in that shadow if you want. Now also you can stamp this off, so you can have just some lighter grass in there. So give it as much texture as you want. Okay, and then we just need to assemble our layers and we're done. Okay, so I'm going to take my Connect Glue. Oh, and I am also, let's see if I have my foam squares handy to pop it up, to give it a little bit of extra dimension. Not sure I have them. So I might just be gluing it with my Connect Glue onto my base. The little goat. It might appear in a moment. I've been working on a big, super secret project. It's not a secret anymore, it's a book. And I'm so excited to share that with you. It'll be coming out before the holidays. And it does have some goats and a pig in it. So I am so excited, but I've just been coloring. Got markers everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to add that goat. Where did I put him? Here he is, under my notepad. Okay, so if my foam squares reveal themselves, I don't see them. All right, so I'm just going to glue this on here with the Connect Glue. Okay, now I can't find my Connect Glue. That's annoying. Okay, here it is. All right, so let me know in the comments. I showed 8 different cards in the little interview that I did with Gina that I shared, and I would love to know either which card you'd like to see me make next or which animal you'd like me to use next. There we go. So I'll show you those 2 cards side by side. So I went a little bit darker on my ink, but you can see every sky is going to be a little bit different. And I might have used grass green on that one, or apple mint is a little bit lighter. But so I love how both of these cards look. I love the goat, and I love this new stamp set. I just think it's so versatile. It's going to be so fun for kids cards, for masculine cards, for all kinds of nature scenes, and to play together with my other beautiful nature sets. Thank you so much for watching today. Please check us out at Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Facebook group, and make sure that you upload your creations with this set. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. God bless.